up at the clock there at the skyline. You may notice that it's set to 9:05. Now, set's not really the right word because it actually stopped at 9:05. That clock was blown, stopped, the moment of the blast, and it's never again taken a single second. Now, we did fix the other side of the clock, or else I would be 5 minutes late for work every day. But we left that side at 9:05 as a memorial to the Halifax explosion. Of course, our way to remember the tragedy here in Halifax. All right, no more sad stories. Don't want anyone to leave sad today. Everyone shake it out. We're coming down Hollis Street here, which is known as the Wall Street of Halifax, through some of our oldest buildings in the city. Also one of our tallest. This was built and inspired a law that you can only build 10 stories or lower here in Halifax because we didn't want to lose the view of the harbor. This one is much more than 10 stories, as you can see. And as we travel down, I have time for one last story for you. This is one of my favorites of the entire tour. And this is a story of the press gang. Has anyone heard of the press gang before? Only a couple of you. Good. Top secret. I may be putting my life in jeopardy by telling you this. These guys were a group of thugs, essentially, street toughs, that were hired by the Queen in secret to help assist people in joining the Navy. Now, what they would do is they would follow hapless young gentlemen down by the boardwalks, and when no one was looking, they would sneak up behind them and boom, whack him on the back of the head, knock the guy out. He would wake up the next day with a gold coin in his hand and a piece of paper in his possession that said, "Thank you so much for joining the Navy. We're glad you got your first payment, and we'll see you on the boat on Monday. Yours truly, the Queen of England." Kind of hard to turn her down, right? They got that money, they can't say no, and they're off to the Navy. Now, unfortunately, the guys said, you know what? We can't go to the waterfront anymore. So they went to the pubs instead. Not so bad, they had a good time. However, the press gang followed them. Now, the press gang would follow them up by the pubs, and as a glass was sliding down the bar, of course, glass is made out of metal at the time, the press gang would drop a coin into the glass. The guy would drink it down, of course, not really paying attention, find the coin, think, yay, it's my lucky day, and then boom, on the back of the head. And he would wake up the next day with that coin in his hand, and a letter that said, "Thank you so much for joining the Navy. Glad you got your payment. We'll see you on the boat on Monday." Not really fair, right? All the guys here in Halifax got a little bit nervous, and they decided, I am not leaving my house. I can't go to the pubs, I can't go to the waterfront, I'm staying home. I'm gonna play some PlayStation 3. So they stayed at home, they shut themselves in, and we had a couple bad consequences of that. One, we had a lot of lonely women here in Halifax, but also we had a lot of businesses losing money. So they said, we gotta get the guys back. We missed the guys at Halifax. So they decided to take those metal glasses, do something drastic. They cut the bottoms off of all of their glasses and threw them away. And they got little glass bottoms, and they put them on the bottom. So now, you can see through the glass, and as a glass would slide down the way, the press gang would drop a coin in, the guy would grab it at the end of the bar. Being a little bit more savvy these days, have a little look, see the coin at the bottom, and go, "Oh, sorry, I must have grabbed yours. Enjoy the Navy." So, if you go out today, my warning to you is make sure you check the bottom of your glass. You never know, do it for posterity's sake if nothing else, or you might be leaving on what I call the extended tour of Halifax. A little bit longer. All right, if you look just ahead here, you'll see we have the waterfront ahead of us. Now, out on the waterfront, I'm not sure if all of you can see it from where you are. Just through the trees there's a big blue wave. Kind of looks like a blue tongue. That big blue wave is to commemorate the Halifax explosion, but more specifically, the tidal wave that swept over the city from the force of the blast. Now, if you're going to go out on the boardwalk, it's about 3.8 kilometers. You can walk all the way along. We saw a lot of it today, but it stretches all the way from Casino, Nova Scotia, straight down to Pier 21. It's about 3.8 kilometers, as I said. Take about 40 minutes to travel along it, and it actually rivals Atlantic City for the longest saltwater boardwalk here in North America. Lots of places to shop, to eat. You can even check out Cow's Ice Cream. Highly recommend it. And if you get all the way down to the end, I would also highly recommend you check out Pier 21. Now, Pier 21 is where immigrants here to Canada came through for decades. It's closed today, but we saw over 1.5 million newcomers into Halifax. A lot of history, and they have a really cool movie about the whole pier there that's done kind of in a 3D hologram kind of way. Really neat. Also, if you're looking for more history on the marine history of Halifax, we have the Maritime Museum of the Atlantic, and you can go in, learn all kinds of stuff about the vessels and boats around town, as well as more about the Halifax explosion, including some real artifacts from the blast, and the Titanic, which also sunk just off the coast of Newfoundland. Halifax played a very big role in the recovery of bodies from the Titanic. Unfortunately, however, we have come to the end of our tour today. So let's give one last big ribbit for good luck out on the water. One for the road, I like to say. You ready in the back, and in the middle, and in the front? All right, let's do it. 1, 2, 3, ribbit! All right, give yourselves and of course our driver Ed a huge round of applause. You guys have been fantastic. It's been my pleasure to show you around. If you have any questions, comments, tips, or pointers, I'll meet you at the bottom of the stairs. See you safely off. I'll just get you to stay seated for 2 more seconds while I get the stairs down so we don't lose anyone off the back. All right, enjoy your time in Halifax, and thanks for coming out.